Hello, hello, good evening. It's Monica from Life is Art, and it's Wednesday. We're going to create a Z-fold diamond stack card today, and just making sure I got everything in the frame here. I've got my video going on the side. If you're joining me live, just say hello or howdy so I know you're here. And if you're joining me later on replay, you can just say replay. I'm excited to show you this card tonight because a Z-fold card is a nice simple fold, and then we're just going to embellish it, and that's where the stacking diamonds are going to come from. And it's something that you've probably seen before, but it's good to be reminded of the simple ways of using our papers and our cardstocks and creating something lovely. Now, I just realized as I'm sitting here that I forgot to pull out my embellishments. So let me just check in my bin here to see if I've got them. There's always something we have to forget. As you're joining me, I will just take a quick look. And I'm not seeing what I'm looking for. Bum, bum, bum. How's everybody's week going so far? Are you having a lovely week, or is it a challenging week? Sometimes our weeks can get very challenging, can't they? Yep. Okay, so I don't see the embellishments that I'm looking for. I'm looking for my silver bells dots. And I had them, and now I don't have them. But that's okay. We will persevere. We're going to start out with a standard size piece of cardstock for our card base. Good evening, Carol. Hello, hello. Nice to see you're watching. So we're starting out with a piece of charcoal cardstock, and this has been cut to 8.5 by 5.5. which is what we start with for a standard size card. So 8.5 by 5.5. And we're going to do a little bit of scoring on this. So let me just line it up on my Versamat. Like so, using those handy dandy grid lines to keep me on the straight and narrow. The first score line we're going to do is right in the center at 4 1/4. That's easy peasy. So we're just going to score it at 4 1/4, just like we would if we were going to turn this into a standard card. The only difference is we're also going to score it at 2 1/8. Now, 2 1/8 is part way between 2 inches and 2 1/4. So right smack in the middle between 2 and 2 1/4 is 2 1/8. And we'll just go ahead and make a score line right there. And that's it. That's it. That's how easy a Z-fold card is. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to fold on that center line and just make sure that all of our corners and edges line up. And I've got my dark side of the charcoal now folded to the inside, but this first score line we've got here, the 2 1/8, we're going to fold back. So from the front of the card, it's the dark true color side of the cardstock that we'll be showing. See how quickly that card comes together? So simple. a Z-fold. Just like that. Hey, Kimberly. Oh, no. You're feeling a bit sick. Not fun. But snuggling on the couch, that's all right. As long as you got a warm puppy or kitty beside you or grandkid, you'll be A-okay. So there we go. We've created our Z-fold. Kind of like a little accordion. And that is the base of our card. Now, from this point, it's all just decorating. So we're going to create that diamond stack just as an embellishment. So we've made sure all of our crease lines, getting tongue-tied, must be Wednesday, are nice and scored and stuck down really good. And then we're going to start bringing in pattern paper. And from our Silver Bells collection, which is the featured collection for the month of November, yes, we're in November, hard to believe, I've got this lovely pattern, and I've actually taken one larger piece and I've cut it into two pieces. So, well, actually it doesn't really match up, but I've cut it into two pieces. And so this first piece is 4 inches by 5 1/4. And I'm going to go ahead and put it on this largest inside panel. So 4 inches by 5 1/4. Just going to adhere that. And it's going to leave a bit of space all the way around. So I'm just going to turn it sideways so I can line my edges up and have a little bit of that lovely charcoal showing all the way around the edge. Don't those two look lovely together? I like that dark edge with that lovely pattern paper. And then this second piece of the same pattern paper that has the gorgeous bells and pine cones and ribbons and everything on it has been cut to 1 7/8 by 5 1/4. So a little bit smaller than 2 inches. So 1 7/8 by 5 1/4. We're actually going to be using 2 pieces of pattern paper this same size, but we're going to have a second pattern involved here. So let's stick this one on. And again, we're going to leave that edge of the charcoal showing all the way around. Our second piece that's going to go in the gap in between, it's also 1 7/8 by 5 1/4, and that is this fun toffee stripe, which I think creates a nice little buffer in between those 2 pieces of the same pattern paper. The back side of this is actually quite pretty too, and I debated using it as well, but I wanted something, I guess, slightly less busy to go in between. So let's put this toffee stripe in here. Again, we've got our charcoal showing all the way around, and then that part will just have a little peek through from the inside. All right, now to start creating our diamond, I keep wanting to say snack, our diamond snack. I keep saying that, but it should be stack. So to create our diamond stack, we're going to start with a couple pieces of charcoal cardstock, and these have been cut to 1 3/4 inch square. And then I've also brought in a couple pieces of Mix-in papers, and these are pattern papers from the Mix-in collection that are toffee, and they're kind of a linen-y, almost burlap-y type large weave, and I think they're really pretty. So we're going to go ahead and add those right on top. So these pattern papers have been cut to 1 5/8. 1 5/8. And we're putting them on the charcoal that was cut to 1 3/4. And we'll just go ahead and stick those down there. It'll be just a tiny little touch of that charcoal showing all the way around. And add those on. Those Mix-in papers are great for adding a different pattern into the collection so that you can mix and match, and create whatever look you're going for. I'm pulling my paper right off. I went right under the adhesive. Getting a little aggressive with that piercing tool. All right, let's add that on top. And if we bring in our card, what we want to do with these, first off, I want to make sure that my grids look like they're kind of going the same direction. And then we're going to line up these 2 diamonds with the points pointing right along that center crease line of the front part of the Z fold. We're going to attach one at the top and one at the bottom, and there will be a decent gap in between. So we're not trying to put those 2 points together. We're going right to the edge of the card. But in order for this card to be able to open, we're only going to add adhesive on the left side of the diamond. Okay? So when we flip this over, we're going to make sure that we only put adhesive to the left. To the left, to the left. I know Kimberly's singing that song in her head right now. So we're just putting some adhesive on the left-hand side, and then all we need to do is line up that bottom point with the bottom crease, or the center of the bottom crease, the bottom center crease, whichever way it goes. We're going to line it up right along that line. And then we're going to take the top one, we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to keep it vertical like that so that we know which side is the left side. Whenever I hear keep to the left, it reminds me of the movie, I don't know if you guys have ever seen it, from back in the, I don't know, the 80s. I think it was from the 80s, called Lady Hawk. Look at that. The adhesive stuck to me and not the paper. Have you ever watched the movie Lady Hawk? Well, there's a part in the movie where they have to keep to the left. And so if you've ever seen the movie, you might recall that part. That's all what always comes to my mind. All right, let's line these points up. I always start with the outside one first and then just move that next one till it lines up like that. And now you will see, because we only attached it on the left, that our Z-fold card still opens and closes as it should. Just gonna move that out of the way. And then we need to create a focal point for our card. We can't have a whole card with no focal point. Hey, Heather, nice to see you're watching. I hope Rose is feeling better today. Yes, Kimberly, I know you were. I know how this goes. So I've got another piece of the charcoal cardstock. Now, you could mix this up and have a different contrasting color coming in, but I like keeping it all the same. And this is a 3-inch square piece of the charcoal cardstock. And then to layer up on top of this, I have a 2 3/4 inch piece of white daisy cardstock. And we're going to do a little bit of stamping and a little bit of decorating on this before we attach it together. So let me just line it up on my Versamat. And I like to do this so that I know we're working on a diamond, okay, because we're stacking our diamonds. So I'm going to line it up with the 2 points, top and bottom, lined up along one of the Versamat lines. Then I'm going to bring in a stamp from the Bells Cardmaking Workshop stamp and thin cuts. So this is the stamp and thin cuts that comes with the Card Making Workshop Kit, as opposed to the card making stamp set in the catalog. This is in the catalog, but it's from the kit. That's the difference. And so I'm going to be using this sentiment from here. The Christmas bells are ringing, which works lovely with all of those beautiful bells in that pattern paper. And I'm going to use my intense black ink for this. Now, if I had charcoal ink, which I thought I did at one point, but now for some reason I don't seem to have charcoal ink. So it must have been a figment of my imagination. I'm going to use my intense black ink, and I want to use my Versamat lines to help me keep my sentiment somewhat level from side to side on this diamond shape. So there we go. We've got our Christmas bells are ringing. If I had charcoal, I would probably stamp the sentiment in charcoal just to be samey. But the black works just fine. And then I want to bring in some toffee ink, which is a lovely color in this collection. And we're just going to use a blending brush and a little bit of toffee ink to add a little bit of softness and create a spot for some embellishments to land. So just a little bit of toffee there. Like that. Just a little glow. You guys, I don't even know if you'll see that so much on the video. I guess you can. And we're going to attach these two together. So put some adhesive on the back. And stick it together. And then I had a lot of fun with creating the embellishments to go on here. And I was digging through my scrap paper bin to create these embellishments. And that is something that's good to do with doing a little die cuts. So in this collection of Stamp and Thin Cuts from the Card Making Workshop Kit, you get all of these fun dies. The ornament, the bell, the 2 little branches of evergreen, a bow, and then the topper for the ornament. And so I went ahead and I used those to cut out 2 little sprigs of charcoal greenery, evergreens, and also a glittery silver bell. Put it there so you can see. A glittery silver bell. And also a toffee colored bow. And so all you need are just teeny tiny pieces. So that's a good reason to keep your scraps handy. And I always put my scraps, let me just grab one here. So this is my bag of browns. So I keep one of the leftover bags from the kits and paper collections. I keep them, and then I label it with some Sharpie on there. It says browns. And so all of the browns that have been cut get stuck in here. Big pieces, little pieces, as long as it's been cut, it goes in here if it's not particular to a paper collection. So if I had the coordinating cardstock for a paper collection, I would keep that coordinating cardstock with the pattern paper until I was done using that collection. And then once I've finished that collection, I would pull all those extra little bits and pieces out and put them in there. So it's, a lot of people store their cardstock offcuts in various ways, and I keep even the tiniest little scraps. Like, it looked like I had only big pieces in here, but if you dig in, and yes, I have a lot of pieces. I even keep pieces that I've already cut stuff out of because, you know, I can cut more stuff. I tend to not throw paper out. So, figure out a way that works for you to keep your little bits and pieces because they come in awfully handy. So I'm going to bring in some thin foam tape and put a piece here on the back of my bell. And we're going to pop this up kind of centered on the inked area. Let me move my little greenery that's grayery off to the side. We're going to attach our little bell here in the center, but I'm going nice and close to my words because I know I'm attaching my bow and I want to make sure I have lots of room. Now we've got little pieces that we're going to attach on here, and we're attaching them on top of glitter paper. So we're going to use some glue for this. So I'm just going to put a little bit of liquid glue on this part of my hand, and then I can use my tweezers to pick up this little bit of charcoalery and stick it right on that glitter paper like that. And I only glue just a little bit at the base of the stem so that it can have a little bit of lift. We have lift off. I'm just going to pop that right on top there. Won't stick into my finger. And you do have to give it a minute to stick to the glitter because things don't stick to glitter that well. But liquid glue will eventually hold, but it's got to sit there for a moment. And then we're also going to take this bow, and I only want to really get glue just on the back of the knot. And we're going to kind of center that over the little hole at the top of the bell like that. So your tweezers come in very handy for doing that sort of manipulation of little items. Definitely. All right, going to take the excess glue off my hand. Now, the next thing we want to do is we want to add this onto our card. And I can put it on there flat if I want, but I could also put it on there with a little bit of lift. So we're going to add some foam tape. Now, I probably should have done this before I stuck all that gluey stuff on there. So we're going to hope for the best. So I'm going to flip it over. So these are my vertical points because we only want to add foam tape on the left side. And this time I'm going to use the regular foam tape. So it's got a little bit more depth, but making sure we stick to the left, to the left, to the left, always to the left. There we go. And hopefully we left no pieces behind that are trying to dry. This is one of those moments where you're like, ah, shoot, I shouldn't have not put the stickles on until I was all done. We're at least not using stickles yet, but those wet liquid glue things need time to dry. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to line up our diamond top to bottom, trying to follow that center line. But if you take a look right now, you can't really see the center line. So we're going to try and line it up with the diamonds that are already there and the edges of our card. And then we're just going to set it down and see if we've got ourselves in the right spot. And then we can stick it down like so. And your two outside points shouldn't go past the edge of your card. And so that's sort of your guiding line, and also that these 2 points and these 2 points are pointing the same direction. So there, we've created the front for our card, and then we need a spot to write our message. So on the inside, we're going to mirror this exact piece of pieces of cardstock. And so we've got a 3-inch piece of charcoal and a 2 3/4 inch piece of white daisy. I've lost my adhesive. There we go. And this is where we're going to write our message. Now, if you're long-winded and you're going to write a bigger message, then you could always just stamp a sentiment on here and then put a panel on the back of your card, a 4 by 5 1/4 inch panel, and stick it on the back of the whole card like so, and write on there. And let's also add a little bit of adhesive on the back side of this charcoal. And I want to show you a fun little trick for getting this lined up, because we want this diamond to line up with the diamond in front. Okay, and if I did it freehand, I'd probably end up with it a little askew and sticking out in weird ways. So this is my trick for doing this. We're going to take the backing off. We're going to open the card, but we're going to open it like we would a normal card. So we're going to flip that open so that this diamond is sticking out the front. And then we're going to put this down with the adhesive facing up and line it up with the diamond on the front, because that's what we want to line up with anyway. So just hold it down there like that, so it's all lined up with those two edges, and then all you got to do is close your card. And as long as it didn't move while you were doing that process, it should be right behind that diamond on the front and centered on the inside. How fun is that? So there is your diamond stacked Z-fold card. We started it with our charcoal cardstock, folding it as a Z-fold card, quick and easy, then adding our 3 panels of pattern paper. Then we added on our cardstocks and our mix-in papers, did a little bit of inking, some stamping, some die cutting, creating a nice focal point, added a second layer on the inside to create the spot to write on. And then we also need to add a little bit of bling, because it's just not right without the bling. And I had the silver bells dots, but they've gone AWOL. So we're going to grab our clear sparkles, because you can't go wrong with clear sparkles. And let's grab some. We want to use our piercing tool to lift these up. Now, we almost always do things in 3s. That's always the rule. But we're just going to put 2 little clear sparkles here, because we've already got that nice glittery silver bell right up there in the center. And so those 2 little dots down there just add our 2 and 3 little sparkly bits that we need to finish off our card. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing that Z-fold stacked diamond card come together. And if you use this pattern, create one of your own. Be sure to take a photo of it so that we can see it, and post it in the comments where I post my photos of my card. So there we go. There's our Z-fold stacked diamond card. Have a wonderful evening. We'll see you again soon. Toodaloo. Bye.